We're recording. I don't know why I said that like
let me be
it's
clear.
This American Life. I'm Ira Glass. This week, cameras. Act 1.
Oh, God. I haven't listened to This American Life in a long time.
You're probably not missing much because I bet they've
Yeah, I
only
don't
put
think
out
so.
like actually like only 3 new episodes and the rest have been reruns.
Yeah, it does seem like that's sort of their bag now. It's just re-releasing the same episodes over and over.
Yeah, they're kind of, it's like, it's like a syndication sort of thing. It's like, they've done the work. Now they're just playing the reruns in perpetuity so that Ira Glass can,
do whatever it is he does.
Do whatever it is he does.
I'm not opposed to This American Life doing reruns on the radio. That's fine. But don't put the same episode in the podcast feed multiple times.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous to me.
There's no reason for that.
No,
don't
you
do
can
that.
just download the old one.
Yeah.
That's stupid. We won't do that, folks. I can make that promise. We will never syndicate our program.
Now so it used to be from WBEZ Chicago, and then it was Chicago Public Radio, and now it's Chicago Public Media.
Right.
Chicago Public Media, which you would think means that they have like a TV station as well, but no, they don't. They just,
No, it's just production of shows, right? Like that's all they do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apparently they bought the Chicago Sun-Times as well. Okay, maybe that's the media.
And they own WBZ as well.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Anyway.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Things have happened in the past few weeks.
Yeah. They sure have.
We've got cameras that have been released. We've got lenses that have been released.
There have only been weird cameras released.
Yeah, no normal ones so far.
Yeah.
So
can we get into this phase 1 thing?
We've complained about phase 1 in the past. And they're back. They're back here.
Is this thing?
So we talked about the XC last year.
Okay.
They've got a new one, which is the XC40.
Okay.
And from the name, you clearly can tell that this is a 150 megapixel camera with a 23 millimeter lens. So that's where they get the 40 from.
Uh-huh. Okay. That's, yeah.
Oh, my mistake. Sorry. The old one is the 23. The 40 has a 40 millimeter. They're the same.
Oh, okay.
They're identical. Otherwise,
yeah.
It's manual focus.
Manual
like the
focus.
23. It's a new 40 millimeter f4.
How much money do they want for this manual focus 150 megapixel camera?
Oh, well, you see, if you get the camera without the digital back, so just the lens and the housing, well, that'll run you just $20,290.
So what would I do with it?
Well, I guess you'd put a film back on it.
Is this compatible with film backs?
I have no idea. Probably.
Is this because, like, I guess phase 1 in theory owns Mamiya, but I don't think you can put a Mamiya film back on this.
No, I don't think you can. I think people are complaining that you couldn't buy this new like lens thing and put it on their older phase 1 backs.
Oh, because it's like a fixed lens thing. You can't. The lens itself is not interchangeable. It's the entire body of the camera minus the digital back.
Yeah. So they're selling you a $20,000 lens.
So if 150 megapixels, if 150 megapixels is just too much to you, but you want the 23 millimeter equivalent lens, or the 40 millimeter equivalent lens, good news.
Yeah, you can pony up.
Yeah,
you can pony up that much. And also, if you want the whole thing, that is $62,000 for the whole
60. Okay,
for the whole thing. Yeah,
$62,000.
Correct. That's for the system.
That is more expensive than the vast majority of cars for sale today.
That's correct. That's more expensive than my car and yours too.
How do you? Here's the thing, right? So in my work, I've been working on, or I should say, in my day-to-day job, I've been working on getting quotes for volume production of circuit boards, and you usually need like several thousand or whatever to reach economies of scale. Do they think they're going to sell more than like 10 of these? How is it economical to make these?
I have absolutely no clue.
Like this
I really don't understand how this makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Like I guess it's $69,000 because there is no way that they could make a profit on it if it was anywhere near, like a reasonable price. So, and
it looks like a toy. It's got this like weird wooden handle on the side. Like it doesn't look like.
It looks like if you described a Hasselblad X2D to someone over the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I really do not get this. I don't understand who this is for. I don't know anyone who has purchased this.
This is a weird one. I would at least like the X2D I sort of get, right?
Yeah.
But this is just bizarre. I also don't understand.
They're saying that it's travel friendly, so that should help.
I don't think that that's the case. I don't think I agree.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. Also, what is this giant thing jutting out of the lens that looks like an early, pre-built-in autofocus like lens?
I guess that's
wart, basically.
That's got to be the aperture control or something, because it doesn't have
bizarre.
It's manual focus.
Okay, right. So like,
it's
what
not
can
an
that
autofocus. Metering, maybe that's what it's doing.
Do we also note that the shutter release for this is on the front of it, like it's an Instax camera?
Yeah, it's like the Hasselblad, but the Hasselblad doesn't have more than one shutter button on the front.
Yeah.
Whereas this one just has one that's up in the corner near the hand grip. So I'm not really
tell you
sure
what you're paying
$69,000
for is the custom wood hand grip here.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This is a bizarre thing to me. Like, if you're looking at this market, if you're looking at this modern digital medium format market,
number one, stop it. Get some help.
Well, yeah, stop it. But also, who's buying this instead of a Hasselblad?
Yeah, I don't know.
You can buy a 907X and CFV 100C plus like every lens they make and still have money left over.
Yeah.
Before you get to this thing.
And yes, that's only 100 megapixels versus 150, but you really won't notice.
You're not going to know.
Won't notice. Yeah.
And also, by the way, the Hasselblad has autofocus.
Yeah.
And you can get the waist level viewfinder.
Probably has a faster lens because this one is an f4, which is, admittedly it's medium format, but that's not great for medium format still.
No.
This is, I don't know. What? This is for people with more money than sense. I don't know.
I don't even think it's for them. I don't know who it's for.
Phase one is weird. They should
since they got consolidated with Capture One, they've been doing some weird stuff.
The thing is that Phase One had like something, they bought Mamiya, and Mamiya was doing fine. They were cranking out like the 645 AF and all that. And then, Phase One was like, what if we made these ridiculous?
Yeah.
And that's where they went wrong. Sell me a 645 AF like modernized version, digital back or whatever, for like $5,000, right? It should not cost more than a Fuji, whatever the GFX is.
What's actually happening here, I think this is a Boeing situation where they actually make all their money on like industrial stuff. So that makes sense. Like Phase One does make a bunch of like aerial imaging cameras, which would explain where the 150 megapixel medium format sensor comes from.
Yeah,
and it explains the price to some extent.
So what? They just had some lying around. They're like, we have excess stock.
Probably, yeah. It doesn't make sense otherwise. So they're not really expecting anybody to buy this.
If you're looking for a medium format camera that's reasonable, go get you a GFX 102
or use GFX 50. Like those are fine too. Like anything in the GFX series will be fine.
I do love that the GFX, is like the state of the art in Fuji. Like top of the line Fuji medium format camera, and it does 5.3 frames per second.
Well, look, it's medium format. It's not about how many FPS you get.
It includes the new Reala Ace film simulation.
If you think about it, you're getting way more pixels per second with that 100 megapixel sensor.
That's true. You can also record at 8K30.
Great.
Personally, I would not recommend recording 8K30 with a GFX, but you go right ahead. You may need to get the optional fan-001 cooling fan accessory, though.
Next we've got Leica doing.
Speaking of cameras with very specific lenses.
Leica has the Q series, which generally are fixed lenses, little like travel camera
rangefinder type. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They've got a new one, which is the Q343, which is the same as the other Q3s, but with a 43 millimeter lens stuck on the front.
Yeah.
That's it.
An APO Summicron 43 millimeter f/2 aspherical lens.
Yep. $6,000.
This is a full frame rangefinder, which I guess makes it interesting. There's not a lot of those.
Sorry, no, this is even more. This is $1,000 more than the Q3.
Okay, for the benefit you get is a different.
You get a different lens, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So if that's your bag, I guess go for it. I would recommend getting an interchangeable lens.
IP52 water and dust protection, which is like fine but not great. Like I don't know. That means you can have it outside, I guess, in the rain.
These don't make a lot of sense to me from Leica. I know people like the Q series, but I really don't understand why you would get a Q over like an M11. Because they're effectively the same thing, except with the Q, you can't change the lenses.
Right. Yeah.
And the M11 even has a real rangefinder on it still, where they've ditched that on the Q.
And also the M11, you can take advantage of like decades of Leica lenses too.
Right.
I don't know. Literally since 1954.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what
or you could, lock yourself into a lens if you.
I guess if you really like it, really like it, and have a lot of money, then go for it. But I would suggest you look at the M11 instead.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're going to get a Q2 monochrome, that's fine. I'll allow that one.
But you can also get an M11 monochrome.
That's true.
So
that is true.
And they're both 60 megapixels. So,
true.
What even is anyway. Intrepid.
I think we've talked about Intrepid before.
Yeah, they were working on this.
So they make 4x5 cameras, which is kind of neat because nobody really makes those. What they've built here is this lens and shutter project to go on the 4x5 that gives you some automation on the shutters. It's not.
Yeah.
You have control over it, but it's digital control, so you can actually be precise with this thing now.
Well, and here's the thing too: is that no one's making 4x5 cameras. They also weren't making lenses or shutters for 4x5 cameras either. So this is like and also it's worth mentioning they started making film holders last year as well. So they kind of make the whole thing now, which is nice because previously, like on Intrepid's own site. Like it'd be like, okay, you bought a camera. Now you need to go find a lens,
right,
and a back.
Good luck.
Yeah. Here's what kind of lenses and backs will work, but you're on your own on that one, basically. So yeah. In fact, so they have a whole guide buying a lens for your 4x5 camera. So now they have one that you can just buy, and
the shutter control is compatible with basically any 4x5 lens as well.
Oh, that's neat.
So it's just, the lens comes with it, but you can take the lens off and put on whatever lens you want.
Is it just like a goofy little arm that presses the release, I guess?
No, it's like a little module.
Right, but it's got to just,
They've got some schematics on here.
Oh, the shutter. Sorry, I'm thinking, I'm kidding. I'm confusing.
Yeah, it is the shutter, right? You replace the whole front of the camera with this thing.
Yeah. And it's a little remote thing, almost like a cable.
A little remote,
but smarter.
And you get some metering as well with it. You can. I think it will do like some capture to your phone, so you can understand what the settings you have are.
Yeah.
It has flash control out as well if you want to use a flash It's pretty neat. They say that it's still on Kickstarter. If you want to get a whole 4x5 camera bundle from them now, it's about $980, and you'll get the camera, the shutter control, the lens, and everything. So they do now have a full-on thing.
That's not terrible for
it's not bad.
A large format camera.
I mean, how else are you going to get into it, really?
Right. Yeah.
Unless you find something on eBay or like a local sale. I mean, that's if you really want to do this, that's kind of the best way right now.
Right.
So
I guess, the good thing for me is that I have as yet, I don't have any interest in large format stuff because it's just like,
me either.
There's just too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
No, I can't do it.
Yeah.
In lens news, though, these are actually good news for regular people.
Lens news. Tamron has a new macro lens for Nikon Z and Sony E.
90 millimeter 2.8. So it's a pretty good competitor to the Nikon 110 millimeter.
Yep.
And it's quite a bit cheaper. So I probably am going to get one of these. I keep meaning to get a macro lens.
Right. So you can.
But I couldn't stomach the price of the Nikon one.
Bumblebees and things like that.
I've always liked doing that, flowers and plants and bees and stuff. But
I just think it's nice to see because getting a lot of these like lens announcements. It's like, oh, there's a new lens, Tamron lens for Sony E mount. There's a new lens for Sony E mount, and now they are just doing, I guess, just figuring they can do Nikon Z at the same time. So yeah,
and they
would probably kicking themselves.
They would have done Canon too if they were allowed to.
I say, because I mean, yeah. I'm sure all of these lens makers would love to make Canon lenses because Canon sells a lot of cameras, but Canon continues to shoot themselves in the foot with that one. So
yeah. It gets more confusing by the day.
Yeah,
but this thing is $699, full frame compatible. Yeah, looks nice. Fairly light, 600 grams.
Next, we have a 7 Artisans 85mm f1.8 autofocus for the Nikon Z.
For $299
for $300. Nikon makes a 85mm f1.8. It is not $300.
I think it's almost $2,600 now.
Well, that's the I think 1.2. You're thinking.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Nikon's Z 85mm f1.8 S lens costs $769, and this one is $300. Yep. Will the S lens probably be a little higher quality? Sure. Will you notice? Will you notice? Probably not. Probably not. This isn't like it has a stepper motor autofocus, so like it's gonna be pretty fast and quiet. Like that's not nothing,
Yeah.
And now it probably doesn't have like the same coatings and all of that stuff.
No, almost certainly not.
Yeah.
Though they say they have coatings. The 7 Artisans one has the same minimum focus and maximum magnification as well. So you don't even compromise on that going with this one.
Seems good.
It's pretty good deal. This also may be on my list to pick up. I mean, just for $299, like,
I
don't know. It even has almost the same number of elements. It's 10 elements, whereas Nikon's is a dozen. It's pretty close there too.
They should make a Plena competitor because I would buy that.
Oh, that would be nice. I mean, they might. These like 7 Artisans and TT Artisans and Lens Baby and whatever, they make like artist type lenses like this.
They do, yes.
So a Plena would be right in their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Well, this also is available for E mount as well.
Oh, nice.
The Z mount's new, but they also have it for E.
The good news is there is a Noct knockoff that you can buy.
Is there?
Artra Labs Nocti No Nikkor. That's what it's called. The Nocti No Nikkor 50mm f1.2 is a not subtle Nikkor knockoff.
Oh my god.
So this is a budget 50mm f1.2 manual focus lens for Nikon Z, Sony E, and Fuji X mounts. So it's basically based on the original Noct.
Yeah, the original,
which was a 58 millimeter f1.2. This is a 50 millimeter f1.2. And it's, $400 for an f1.2, which is pretty good.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I do wonder if they're going to get,
and
are they going to get C and D'd for, the name?
I don't know. How long has it been? Well, it wouldn't be about the name. It would be about the like visual design. It's been a long time since Nikon's used that visual design language.
That is true.
Yeah, this has like that trademark doesn't work anymore.
This has like the knobby, focus ring kind of thing. Yeah.
I don't think Nikon could get them on like a trademark violation there.
No.
Because like the trade dress is, they haven't used it for long enough. It's probably
Here's expired. The thing is there's a photo of this lens on a ZF and it looks
you can't tell that that's not a Nikon lens.
Well, and it just looks classic too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's got the knobby focus ring, but then the aperture ring as well has that like triangular grip texture, which yeah.
I like it.
Presently there are no sample images available, but it's estimating orders to be fulfilled later this fall.
Yeah. So, sure.
We'll see.
It'll give you some character for sure. You get some interesting photos with it.
F1.2 is I had a lens, that was like f.95, and when you open the aperture all the way up, it is very difficult to do the focusing.
Yeah, you're getting like half of somebody's eyelash in focus, and the other half is not.
Yeah, exactly.
Your focal plane is tiny.
Yeah, but can make the bokeh look really nice.
Well, let's talk about Canon. Since they're
great,
back in the news.
Everybody loves when we talk about Canon.
we get emails. People love our Canon talk. But this is just interesting. They made nearly half the digital cameras sold last year.
What do you think? Do you think that was mostly like R50s or?
I genuinely don't know.
Yeah.
Is it?
Is that still like, DSLRs? Too expensive. I don't know.
Well, this might also include DSLRs.
Oh, that's
it may
true.
Also include cinema cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Canon is across more of the market. So,
it was Canon with 46.5%, followed by Sony with a little over a quarter.
Yeah.
Then Nikon, then Fuji, then Panasonic, then the rest.
Everyone else. I'm surprised Panasonic is even on this list.
Yeah, Panasonic. Congratulations. Thank you for showing up, Panasonic.
Congrats to Panasonic for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting.
Kind of surprised. I would have thought Sony would have taken the top spot, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah.
Anyway. In other Canon news, apparently when the R5 launched, the R5 II, you couldn't capture 24 frames per second video in any mode if you use an older Canon battery. You could do 30, not 24. If you have the old battery.
Why would the battery make a difference to
no idea.
To recording at a slower frame rate, not a higher frame rate. If you said, well, listen, you can't record at like 240p unless you get the better battery. Like I'd be like, okay, that sort of makes sense. Like maybe you are drawing more amps, so you need a higher milliamp hour. You draw more current, you need a higher capacity battery. But if you're doing, if you can do 30p but you can't do 24p, that makes no sense. And I guess it's good that Canon came to their senses on this one and was like, yeah, okay, fine.
And they called this one out in the
you want to record cinematic video? You have to buy some new batteries. And everyone who buys Canon to record videos was like, no, we're not doing that.
Well, they discovered this in the Petapixel video review. They found it. Like Chris and Jordan discovered it because they put in an older battery and it was like, wait a minute, why won't it record 24p? It won't let me with this battery. Yeah. You can record 8K 60 with the old battery, but not, 1080p 24. How did they think that anyone wouldn't notice this? This is absurd. They're fixing it, but
I don't understand. It feels like that can't be like a software bug either, because again, why does that have anything to do with the battery that you're using? That's just if you just said like, oh, we haven't, we'll update the firmware to let you do like 24p. We just haven't figured that out yet.
I'd understand if they were like, you can't do the like high frame rate 8K mode with the older battery because it can't push as much amperage as we need or something.
Yeah.
But down? What do you mean?
See, this is... I just find Canon baffling for reasons such as these,
What are you doing, guys?
It's like, guys, what are you doing?
What is this?
Goodness.
Well, we're returning to our AI vertical.
Lovely.
We got two stories here. Mm-hmm. We talked, this was last year, about this guy who made an AI image and won a photography contest and made a whole bunch of people mad. Mm-hmm. Well, he applied to have it copyrighted, his work.
Masterful gambit.
And the Copyright Office said no. And he's very mad about this.
Okay, well.
Yep.
Too bad.
He's suing the Copyright Office. He already tried to go with a federal judge, and the federal judge said, go away.
Okay.
So they're trying again.
As they should. Okay, sure.
Good luck.
It's going to end up at the Supreme Court.
Yeah. I want them to explain to Justice Alito what exactly AI is. That would be funny.
Yeah, right.
Like, do they know? Do you think they know?
He's going to be like, you mean all those photos I see on Facebook aren't real?
Yeah, right, exactly.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Well, he used 624 prompts into Midjourney. He tried 624 times, and then he edited it with Photoshop afterwards.
That's
and so
what that is a recipe.
Yeah,
and you can't copyright recipes because they're just procedures.
That's correct.
That you can follow.
That is going to be their argument, I would imagine.
Yeah.
They've argued. This is the thing. They've argued multiple times in the past year or two that any AI work is not copyrightable.
Yeah.
And so, sucks. You're not an artist. Sorry.
I also just want to say, get a job.
Yeah, don't you have something better to do than sue the Copyright Office about your image that everyone hated?
Get a job, go cook a football, touch grass, things of that nature. Yeah. Seriously. It's ridiculous.
And then finally, in the AI vertical, Microsoft has added the AI remove and generate tools to Microsoft Paint.
Yeah, Microsoft Paint is the latest photo editor to get AI-powered generative fill and erase features.
And I mean,
Microsoft Paint, which Microsoft tried to declear dead.
Yeah, they tried to kill it.
Yeah, they were like, we're not doing Paint anymore. We're going to do Paint 3D. And then, Microsoft, like, Paint must die. Paint, like, who must die? Because Paint 3D is gone now.
Yeah, it's gone.
What? Yeah.
So they've been doing all sorts of these Photoshop-like tools into Paint. So it now also has background removal. It's got layers and transparency features.
Wow.
Yeah.
It even has the content. It has the content authentication stuff.
Yeah.
The CTPA. Yeah. My horrible Microsoft Paint job meme. I can say, yes, I made this. It was made by a human. My red scribbles.
It is really interesting to see them build like Photoshop into Paint for free.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're going to add super resolution as well.
Okay. I will not rest until KidPix gets AI generative.
Oh my god. Seriously. AI yeah.
Can you imagine?
Oh no. I do maintain a macOS 9 VM specifically for KidPix. You got. Well,
you can. Around. This is the miracle of modern computing: is that if you go to kidpix.app, you can use.
I know you can just use
in
it
the browser because it's just JavaScript. Because
you can use it through Infinite Mac.
No.
I love KidPix.
So
that's AI. It continues to happen.
Yeah.
It's just I will be very curious to see what Adobe does with this.
Also, there was another I don't remember. It was one of the one of the folks from one of these AI startups who was basically like, oh, creative people overvalue their work, and so that's why we should be allowed to just steal it and train off of it.
Yeah.
It's like, cool. Thank you for just elucidating, how much you actually care about art,
Correct. They don't care at all.
What you actually think about it, which is like, it's just there, Yeah.
I will be very curious to see how Adobe reacts to this, because now everyone has this. So Apple and Microsoft now are giving this away for free. Like the generative erase tools for just for free. You can have them.
They should release like a Photoshop like Lite or something.
Well, they did. Like Photoshop Elements still exists.
Does it?
You can still buy that. Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that. Wow.
Now I don't know who's buying
it does.
But you sure can still buy it.
Photoshop
and it has the AI stuff too.
Who? Yeah. $100 for a 3-year term license.
And you can get Premiere Elements too. Because they still make that, I guess.
Can you imagine being the person who works on the Photoshop Elements team at Adobe?
You are not getting a lot of support.
No.
Nobody's helping you with that.
Like, is that just like what the Photoshop team does on like Fridays, or like, I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that a lot of people are doing this.
Stand out with Adobe Express. No, thank you.
The thing is, it is enough for most people. Like the majority of people, this is all you need.
Right.
Just like some basic edits and then a way to like make a calendar, which this does. But so does the Photos app,
Adobe had more. I miss when Adobe had more weird apps that were like hyper specialized,
Yeah.
Or that time shortly after they bought Macromedia when they had like multiple apps for the same kind of thing, right? It's like, well, do I use Freehand or do I use Illustrator?
Yeah. Or
do
Fireworks,
I use PageMaker or do I use InDesign? Oh, you know what? Me and Fireworks we spent many good evenings together.
Fireworks, a tool designed to make websites out of forms and cut up JPEGs.
Yeah.
For the young people out there. That was how we used to make websites, is you made a JPEG and you sliced it up.
Yeah.
And you made it a bunch of links.
I would, so like, I was, in 6th grade, I learned Microsoft Flash not Microsoft Flash. Good Lord. Macromedia Flash as part of our web design class, where you learned bare HTML and then Flash, both skills that have, definitely carried me through. And then like Fireworks and Dreamweaver too. So yeah, glad I learned those things. They really come in handy these days.
You know, back in the day, when I was in high school, I was an Adobe community expert for Flex.
Wow.
Yeah, that got me pretty far, as you can tell. I use my Flex knowledge every day.
You flex it.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, anyways.
Remember when it was Shockwave Flash?
Well, they were two different things. Shockwave Player and Flash Player were different.
Well, right, but then you had for a time it was Shockwave Flash.
Yeah, SWF.
Yeah.
SWF.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about this article.
Do you remember Macromedia Flash Paper?
Yes.
Which I don't think really had anything to do with Flash.
No, not really. Not really anything at all.
Yeah. But you could use Cold Fusion to generate Flash Paper files.
Cold Fusion.
Beginning in Macromedia Studio 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And there was also a time
Adobe buy Macromedia.
That was a mistake. Yeah. There was also a time where you could make Flash websites in InDesign. For some reason. Like with full interactivity and animations and stuff, you just like make it in InDesign.
Yeah.
And then it would make a SWF for you.
Also, Adobe should be required to rename Audition back to Cool Edit Pro.
Yeah.
Just vote for me this November. Yeah. This is my platform. These are my plans. Yeah. We're bringing back Cool Edit Pro.
Yeah.
We're bringing back Adobe Air for some reason.
Listen, Adobe was ahead of the curve. They came up with React Native before React Native. That's effectively what Air was. It was just React Native, but with Flash instead of HTML. It's the same damn thing.
We're bringing back Microsoft Silverlight for some reason.
Remember when Netflix was Silverlight? You had to install Silverlight to watch anything on Netflix? That was stupid.
Yeah, and it limited you to like certain platforms as a result because, Microsoft obviously didn't make Silverlight for, Linux.
But you could watch it on the Nintendo Wii because that supported Silverlight for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Anyway, I'm going to talk about this article, which I think applies to both of us, which is saying that some study, over half of photographers surveyed experience editing fatigue. And I definitely do.
Yeah.
When I go and do an event and I take 1,000 photos of a sports game or of a wedding or whatever, I just...
Well, step 0, don't do that.
Well, okay, sure. But I don't know. It's exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes so much time.
Well, we've talked about that this is maybe the fertile ground for AI, is in like the culling and the like first pass kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Get all the boring stuff out of the way, like cull the stuff that's out of focus or, whatever kind of crap. Correct the like exposure, the white balance or whatever, straighten it up if it's slightly off kilter.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that what's happened a lot of this with digital photography is like in the past, you'd send your film off to your lab, or you do it if you're a studio, right? You do it in-house probably. Mm-hmm. The people in the lab would throw out the ones that are out of focus.
Right.
And the ones that are framed, like they would just toss those and you'd never see them.
Yeah. Well, or they print them and then you'd go, wow, I'm stupid and I'm bad at photography.
Yeah, you just throw them out, right? It just, that culling process was always there, but until digital, it was never on the photographer to do all of that. And now it is. Well,
and also you were probably taking less photos with film, right? Just because of the inherent cost of it,
So they do.
You're not going to take 1,000 film photos. That's ridiculous.
In here, they break down the amount of time per week that people take editing.
Mm-hmm.
So they go by category. So with wedding, it's the majority is between 5 and 20 hours. It looks like, with 19% over 20. Event, general event is 5 to 10 is the most.
Yeah. Okay.
What's interesting to me is with landscape photographers, it seems like either it's 22% is less than 5, and then 50% is 10 to 20 plus.
I so think that kind of makes sense to me because, yeah, right. You're either like, it looks good, or I don't know. There's something about it where you have to spend 10 to 20 hours correcting your. I don't know. That's a weird one for me.
It's very interesting.
Like, what are you doing? Masking out all the birds?
Yeah.
I don't know. That one I don't quite. Yeah. I don't. I'm not a. I would be on the lower end for landscape for that.
Yeah, I don't really either. When I take a landscape photo, all it gets is color correction and straightening. Yeah. If it's not good, I just delete it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't keep it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just. I think that
it
takes more effort than people think. I mean, maybe they're taking it large format and just like really zooming in.
Well, when you've got a 150 megapixel image, you've got to really get in there. Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting to see this because I feel this, and the data shows that, a lot of people also have this problem too.
The study also looked at psychological pressure and mental exhaustion. Over 90% of photographers say they feel generally under pressure, with the most common reason being deadlines or time constraints. All right, sure.
Yeah.
Large workloads, client inquiries, and personal conflicts were all contributing factors to photographers feeling the heat.
I feel like the other part that's not stated in here for like wedding and event photographers is like the people screaming at you.
Yeah. Right.
The people who are threatening that's ring you out on TikTok, you know?
Yeah. You know, how often do you feel exhausted after long editing sessions? Often. 45.8% portrait, 45.7% kindergarten and family. I guess that makes sense if you're dealing with families like on a sort of one-on-one kind of thing, but also landscape at 44.4%.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Like, and then wedding. So yeah. I don't know.
What are you up to there?
Yeah.
What are you doing with all that time? Yeah, I love that landscape is 0% said they rarely feel exhausted.
They only sometimes to very often feel stressed out. Yeah. So
I think to a person who's not a photographer, this would be shocking news because like they think that photography is a fun job, right? Oh, you just get to go take pictures of stuff.
Yeah, but like any job, there really like any job, there's drudgery associated with it.
Yeah. You know. And this is why I won't take money for my photos because I don't want.
I say what they should have asked is, how much time photographers spend doing, non-photo related things like billing.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. Also, why I'm not really interested in trying to make like a career or whatever out of this. Anything more than a hobby, I guess.
It's not, absolutely
that would suck the fun out of it really quickly. I think for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The other topic I've got, which is interesting, is this DIY cameras. Are you aware of this?
This is Quentin. No. Sorry for the long wait, but here is a follow-on video after.
Why would you?
So there's this guy who's making a full-frame camera from scratch.
Okay.
He was originally starting to make a back for DSLRs to convert them to digital. But he's gone full on.
Well, that's too easy.
Well, it actually was harder than making the whole camera. He's got a video series talking about this, but it turns out that because of the space constraints, like in the DSLR, it's actually quite a bit more difficult to do that versus just make something.
Okay.
So
I would point out that you can purchase full frame cameras.
Well, where's the fun in that?
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
So it's kind of interesting.
However you get your kicks.
they've built a full-on mirrorless camera with live view. At most, it takes 10 megapixel pictures, 10.7. It's an E-mount lens with it's an active E-mount lens, so it can. I don't think they have autofocus working yet, but theoretically, it can do that.
Mm-hmm.
SD card. It's got a screen. It's got USB-C. It's got a flash sync port. It can do 5 FPS at 10 megapixels. 100 ISO to 6400 ISO. And they've got some sample images. This is just someone
who, this is, this is like, we get it. You can design a high density PCB and all this stuff.
Well, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
but it's all.
I'm looking at this and it's ridiculous. Like this is
yeah, it's insane, right? This is nuts. But
also, it's great that this is an open source CCD camera, but I don't know if other people are going to be able to replicate this necessarily.
I think you could replicate the PCBs fairly easily with the modern PCB build services. Yeah. I think the body would be difficult because they've machined.
It's all going to be expensive. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, and they've got flex PCBs with buttons and stuff on them for the hand grip. And I really recommend, we'll link the video. I recommend watching the video. It's fascinating.
It does appear that they used a controller D-pad for the D-pad, which I find somewhat amusing. Yeah.
But they even wrote all the software. There's an FPGA. This is Xilinx Zynq running this thing.
So is this, does this
Kodak
person
sensor
have a day job, or is this what they are doing?
Who knows?
Here's my question. How do you have time for this?
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a year. So they've been working on this for a year. So this new one that actually looks like a camera is the first one that like sort of works.
That's still not that long of time.
No, it's really not
something like this.
I think it's very interesting.
This is kind of wild to me.
The other thing in this category that I wanted to mention is I've been noticing a lot of people on YouTube trying to make custom silicon at home. And there's a guy who has a channel, Breaking Taps, where he's trying to make a custom image sensor at home.
Yeah.
It sort of works.
That is how it started, I suppose. In a sense, but
it sort of works. That's the thing. His sensor kind of functions. It's just really interesting to see people trying to come at this from first principles and make.
I suppose stuff. I never really thought about the fact that you can just go and buy like a CMOS image sensor. And integrate it into a
you just buy one. I mean, this feels like, I don't know, in film, you mess around with the cameras, you could build your own film camera fairly easily.
Yeah.
With digital, you can't. Right?
No.
But somebody's trying, which I think is cool.
Right.
I hope that we get to a point where it's easier to make your own stuff to experiment with. Mm-hmm. It reminds me a lot of the ham radio hobby that we
video
both
recording
have,
is not supported.
No, the readout speed is way too slow.
Yeah,
but it reminds me of ham radio right now, where like you can buy professional equipment that's quite expensive, but a lot of people also completely make their own from scratch that performs as well as the professional stuff. It's not possible to do that with digital cameras right now, but you can buy all the components, there's nothing stopping you.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. These videos are fascinating anyways.
I wonder what sort of like noise, handling they do. Because that's the thing about digital camera sensors is that they're very sensitive in some cases. So
if you look at their GitLab page, they have some sample images. They look pretty good, but I don't know what the settings were for these.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell if you zoom in on the first one, you can tell that it's reading out the sensor in two halves. So you can see there's like a line down the middle where it's like slightly different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because of just how they're reading the sensor. It's fascinating. So if you want to make your own camera, this guy's got all the it's all open source. You just go to PCBWay and order your PCBs.
If you too have too much time on your hands.
Good luck to you.
Well, speaking of cameras, we have a camera history segment, which is also me talking about the latest camera that I got.
Oh boy. What did you do?
I didn't intend to get a camera, but one of the used camera stores near me got a shipment of classic Soviet cameras, which is not good for me.
That's your kryptonite. Soviet cameras.
Well, I wouldn't look because I didn't think that they would. They had like some M42 lenses. I was like, oh, that's I could maybe put those on my Praktica. But then I got there and they had a Horizon.
What is this? I have never heard of this thing.
Are you familiar with the Wide Lux?
Yeah.
It's basically the Soviet version of a Wide Lux. It is a swing lens panoramic camera.
Huh.
And it sounds like this.
Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, it takes panoramic photos, and I've wanted a panoramic film camera. Obviously everyone wants a Hasselblad X-Pan. Those things are like $5,000. This was
that's
much cheaper than $5,000.
Which one did you get?
The original. This one, according to the serial number, was made in 1969. Yeah, it has a grand total of 4 shutter speeds: 30, 60, 125, and 250. And then it's f2.8 to f16. There is no way to focus it because it's a swing lens camera. So you kind of set the aperture based on the depth of field or whatever that you need, and then you go from there. There's no meter for it either, and it's a viewfinder, but the viewfinder is up and to the left, so it's not quite good. But the viewfinder does give you. I mean, the viewfinder on its own is pretty neat, and also the viewfinder has
viewfinder a panoramic view as well.
It is, yes. It's this big, like bubbly looking viewfinder. And it also has a bubble level at the very top of the viewfinder that is reflected into your view through a clever series of mirrors, so you can see if you are holding the camera level as you're lining up the shot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see that in the picture they got here. That's pretty cool.
And then you just let it rip.
Now I'm immediately loving this Horizon S3. You scroll down, that looks like it's been inflated. Like a balloon.
Yes. So they made later they made later versions of these in like the 90s that look
it looks like it's wearing a ski jacket.
Yeah, they're plasticky kind of thing. Yeah. So I haven't shot with this yet, but I'm excited to try and see.
Does it take just regular 35 millimeter film?
Yeah. Yep.
How many shots do you get?
That is a good question. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. What does it say? What do you get out of this? Makes 24 by 58 millimeter frames on 35 millimeter film, giving it a 120 degree view. I don't know what that works out to on a normal like 36 exposure roll. Probably like half as many would be my guess. So yeah.
So allegedly, the Horizon S3 Pro is still in production in China.
They say that, yes. They're typically out of stock.
I would be shocked if you can get one in the US.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you have to go to Taobao or something to find these.
What does this say? So it has its little shot dial here. So if I wind it up, it says I'm on shot 19 now. If I wind it again, keep going. 21.
So
I think it's every 2, basically.
Got it. There is an effort apparently to bring these back.
Interesting.
Called Widelux. Widelux.
Oh yeah. Widelux with 2 X's because Jeff Bridges is doing that.
That's correct. Jeff Bridges really wants this camera to come back, I guess.
Yeah.
That's such a bizarre thing to me that he wants this so bad, but they are making a purely mechanical one that looks a lot like the regular Horizon, and they're going to hand make it. I'm guessing this will cost like $5,000, but
probably
still pretty cool.
Oh, the other fun thing about this is on this particular model, in order to rewind the film cartridge, you have to pull the viewfinder off because the rewinder spool is underneath it. So
that's really funny.
And then it's I don't. Do they have a picture of what the inside of this camera looks like? Because the way that you have to feed the film,
the film is like sort of round. It's like a round film.
It's rounded.
Chamber.
It's rather like, and this is going to be a weird reference. It's sort of the way that the tape on a VCR is pulled through.
Oh, yep. I get you.
Or it's sort of wrapped around in a circle so that it's flush with the swinging lens apparatus while it's doing its thing. But yeah, this should be. I'm excited for this because this is like I don't know. It makes for interesting photos, right?
Right.
Yeah. So more artsy, I guess.
Well, I'm going to put my Chinese friends on finding this thing on Taobao for me.
Yeah.
Surely if it's still produced, you can get one on there.
Right. And judging by the badge on mine, which is in Russian, this is an actual either domestic or Eastern Bloc.
Oh, yeah. I suspect yours is.
Yeah. And then it says made in USSR, number 6912635, and the first 2 numbers indicate that it was made in 1969, which is only 2 years after they started making it. So this is the fairly early model.
The 70s one, it looks like they had a grip for it.
Yes,
which is just a stick that goes off the bottom.
Yeah, it just goes into the tripod. Yeah,
what? Who's that for?
And it's made of Bakelite even. So
that's so strange.
The other thing about this too is it's purely mechanical,
right?
And it's wind up, and so if you let go of the shutter release before it does its full rotation, like it just stops. You have to hold it down all the way, and let it go. Because if you just push it down a little bit, it'll just move that little bit. Yeah.
I figured it would continue to, like, the button would lock or something when you push it.
Yeah, that it would latch open, but no, it does not. Yep.
Well, very cool. Yep. I would love to
I'm honestly surprised that this, for how old it is still, like, working.
I mean,
reasonably well. Like, the action
Soviet engineering for you.
Well, I was going to say, it's very smooth, and I think that's because the tolerances on this thing must be huge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're gigantic.
Yeah. And it is also a brick. Like, this thing is ridiculously heavy for what it is. So, yeah. Thank you, KMZ, for this lovely present. I do have to... I'll have to meter manually, of course, and then the film speed is in DIN or GOST, so I have to convert from ISO to either DIN or GOST.
Yeah, I know what those are, for sure.
Yeah. Well, DIN is, ISO, when you see like ISO 100/21, that slash is the DIN. Yeah. GOST is close to the ISO or ASA speeds, but it's not exactly. But people say that you can generally just go by the ISO or ASA speed and it'll work. But it doesn't line up quite exactly because everybody had to be different. So, yeah. For example, cool. ISO 100 is GOST 90.
Sure.
And ISO 50 is GOST 45. So, I guess you can go from there.
I'm sure it's linear.
Well, it is, 200 is 180, 400 is 350, 800 is 700. So, yeah. I don't know. I'll share photos of that whenever I get around to taking some.
Did you, I meant to ask earlier,
in the future.
Did you get a new internet telephone?
I did, yes.
What do you think of the camera control so far? I haven't used it that much.
It's not as nicely positioned as I was kind of hoping that it was.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
It really could be a little more to the right as you're holding it. It's kind of almost in the middle of the phone, and my index finger has to reach quite a bit. I wish it were just like in the bottom corner of the phone, but I'm guessing that if it was there, that it would get pressed accidentally a bunch. I don't know.
Yeah, or there's something else there.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, in the international market phones, there's still a SIM tray somewhere.
That's true. I do like, I have used it to like control the zoom.
Yeah.
That's kind of slick, but yeah.
I'm waiting for there's supposed to be an update where it will let you half press to hold exposure and oh yeah,
focus. I noticed that doesn't do that yet.
Yeah, they said that's coming. So that's what I'm going to set it to. That will be awesome.
Yeah.
Finally, the iPhone can hold exposure easily without some arcane tap gesture.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be nice too. I can't believe they didn't have that ready to go at the beginning. What were they like? What?
I don't know.
What were you doing?
Making a cool animation.
Probably. I guess so. Yeah.
Or like trying to honestly, it's probably trying to figure out, can we do both, right? Can we make it so that you have both the ability to switch controls and the ability to do the half press? Right? Yeah. Can we make it like press deeper, right? To do the lock, but not to take the picture, right? You don't want to push too hard. Yeah.
Whatever.
I have the case with it as well. I don't use a case every day, but the control through the case, it pretty much works as you'd expect.
Yeah, it's kind of remarkable. The little button, that it can
just does it.
Teleport your finger from its button to the actual button, as it were. So that
and having seen cases with just a hole in them, like the Peak Design or whatever.
Well, I originally got one. Yeah, and it looks...
that's no good.
Yeah, it does not look good. It's a pretty big cutout.
If you see somebody with an OtterBox Defender on one of these new things, take a look at what they've done there. It's like there's a crater in the side of your phone. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I have to imagine that, like OtterBox and whatnot, they're going to figure out, pretty quickly
I'm guessing
how to replicate this.
Some Chinese manufacturer is going to reverse engineer it and just start making button modules to go into cases and selling them to case manufacturers. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much all we have for you this week.
That's about it.
Say how many times did we say like in this podcast? Do you think? I wasn't paying attention.
Folks, listen, if you're going to send us an email and complain about how we talk like millennials, we are going to delete it. That's my promise to you.
Yeah.
So, don't do that. We are millennials, unfortunately. It's in our blood.
There's certain kinds of feedback that you should maybe just keep to yourself.
Yeah.
If the way that we speak in the podcast is like annoying to you, you don't have to listen. It's fine.
Yeah.
I've also stopped listening to podcasts because I could not stand one of the host's voices.
And that's okay. No one's forcing you to listen to a podcast. Yeah.
We're not offended, but also you don't need to tell us.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't need to know.
Anyway, have a good couple weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks to bring you the latest and whatever the hell happens.
Whatever's going on.